The Thomas L. Schlosser Award recognizes individual long-term significant service to the American Short Line and Regional Railroad Association and to the short line industry. Named for Thomas L. Schlosser, former president and CEO of the Fort Worth and Western Railroad, the award is presented each year at the association's membership meeting.
He was a man of loyalty, kindness, leadership. He was a mentor. He loved his family. He was dedicated, honest. He was a committed volunteer. And of course, he loved railroading. The only thing that set Tom apart was that he was afforded and accepted the opportunity to do it publicly, to do it in the spotlight, where it could be recognized for what it was, service to the association above and beyond as vice chair and then chairman. He led with foresight and integrity. Tom was relentlessly dedicated to the railroad business and its future possibilities. Days before he passed away, he was in the hospital, still trying to make the Fort Worth and Western Railroad bigger and better, like all things are in Texas.
I got to be honest, when Chuck called and told me I'd won a major award, I kind of thought about something out of the Christmas Story with a lamp. But that's very nice and very kind of you. Chairman Walsh, to the Shortline Board, Chuck, and the entire Shortline staff who worked very hard to pull this whole thing together, thank you. Those who've preceded me in receiving this award have had our stalwart titans in leading this industry and are most deserving. My role was a little different in that I want to express my sincere conviction that I did not get here alone. The number of people who helped me along the way to achieve most of the things Adam talked about are too many to accurately thank. But for every person who answered the phone, who wrote a check, or lent a hand, all I can say is thank you for the help. Kind of four quick, kind of quick stories. You know me, I'm not going to go that fast, but our first passage of 45G was a 3-year law. And so we actually got the law passed and we didn't have anything to do for a year. And then we figured out, we went through an election, about 150 members of the House changed. And then as we were getting ready to reauthorize it, we realized that we had a lot of work to do in a short amount of time. And so we pulled together 7, 8, 9. Keith says 7. I think there was 10 people there, but no doubt the point is that the people who benefited from this realized they did. We got them together and we said, look, in order to get this thing extended, we're going to have to double the budget that we spend. We're going to have to go out and tell our story better and show our success, because members of Congress are obviously going to ask about what short lines do. And we're going to need to demonstrate our success. And so began the maps, so began the preaching and the begging to get co-sponsors. What I can tell you was the people who were in that room, we told the story. These were the shortline CEOs. At that point, Charlie Swinburne was president of Rail America, and Mort Fuller was at G&W. We got several bottles of wine into it and kind of laid out the whole story. And Swinburne looked over at Mort and said, Mort, I'll pay for my share if you'll pay for your share. And Mort said, yep, I'm in. And from there we took off and we got 6 more rather dramatic reauthorizations as part of the tax code. A little deviation, a change of the tax code is coming. If you haven't called your congressman, you need to call them. We got to get co-sponsors. I'm not even doing this anymore. You got to get more co-sponsors. We got 45 today. If you think we're going to expand the short line tax credit with 45 co-sponsors, you're incorrect. They will not even care. We got to get somewhere between 150 and 250 in order to be taken seriously with everything that's out there right now. So we had a huge job ahead of us. We got it done. Really appreciated all those company CEOs over the years who had confidence in us. I can tell you they asked hard questions, but we demonstrated our collective success. That staff came with Keith Hartwell, Adam Nordstrom, Chuck Baker, Cynthia Guerrero, and Randy DeLay. We literally I got to work with the dream team in DC. And so what I was always amazed about was how much these people knew. We're really focused on California and Texas because that's where we had huge populations with not many short line railroads in those population centers. Our last reauthorization, we had 300 co-sponsors, which was just incredible. I think we had 67, 68 members of the Senate. And finally, I was following Richie Neal around one night at a restaurant. He goes, okay, I get it. You want to be in the bill. And so it does have to come to the point where every person knows exactly what you want. And what I would say about the team that I named is that they fought their best fight every time, and we won every fight for 20 years on the short line tax credit, and they deserve a ton of credit for what we got done. I actually had a real job also. So when I was going to DC and I was calling Keith and telling them how to do their job better from the last phone call and more things that we needed to do, I had a dream team at home that I got to work with. And these are people who I have tremendous amounts of respect for. But Stephen Loeb, Stu Towner, Tim Ignotti, Jeff Van Shake, or Jeff Van Scoik, depending on which time zone you're in, Ken Luck, and then Laura McNichol. These were people that kept everything going back in Pittsburgh. I was handling government affairs and doing strategy and business development and had an incredible team. I very, very much appreciate them. Taking away from this, but also including them in this, because some of you guys have seen Austin and Jackson, remember that Austin went to his first short line conference when he was 6 months old in St. Louis. And they didn't pretty much go to things in high school, but there before, they went to a whole number of things. And having them with me today is greatly appreciated. They went to a whole number of fundraisers. They went to Railroad Day on the Hill. We brought in families to tell the story about how we're really small family organizations. Even for those of you that are large part of holding companies, individually in those communities, we're still small companies and extremely important. This summer, Austin will be interning in Jim Rish's office from Idaho, and Jackson will be in Derek Schmidt's office in Kansas. And so I'm pleased that they're both focusing on government service and also in the railroad industry. Andrea and I have been together for 4 years now, and I'm so happy she can be here today and enjoy this. Finally, just one more thing to talk about, and the safety stuff's personally very important to me. 13 years ago when I was when we had the convention in Atlanta, Riley McCarron, who was then my vice chair and left us too early because of an illness. One of the things we talked about is that our industry is not inherently dangerous, but it is unforgiving. A small mistake can take someone's life in a second. And so one of the things we knew we needed to do, and this was after Lac-Mégantic, but the reality was there were a number of events that occurred. We needed to put more focus on safety and improve our safety culture. When the Federal Railroad Administration, Ron Vittori told me when the Federal Railroad Administration was created, we lost a railroader in service almost every other day. About 160, 170 people were killed a year in the railroad industry. And of course, that number has dropped dramatically, and it's all because of our good work. Almost every safety rule that we have has been written due to an incident or an accident. And the fewer of those that we create, the better off we are. The Short Line Safety Institute was our effort to make safety this association's #1 priority. so that we can serve our customers and make sure every man and woman go home safely every night. We've made huge progress, but our future work in safety culture, track inspection, and train handling must be at the forefront of our mind. I also want to thank the team I now get to work with at the New Orleans Public Belt for allowing me to continue my railroad work in one of America's most critical gateways and letting me contribute to the journey that we're on ahead of us. Tamika, Ike, Troy, Ari, Michelle, Greg, who are with us here today, thank you very much for getting to work with you and the time I get to spend in New Orleans. I do have a job where I have to go to New Orleans once a month and go down there. It's been hard to lose weight during all that. But anyway, I had a couple things. I loved getting to work with Rich Timmons, and if you don't know him very well, you really ought to. He was a great guy. And Adam talked about, we got it into it one day, and I was winning the argument slowly, and he sat there and he pulled out his credit card and he said, all I wanted to do is, before we end this, is make sure that you know I could kill you with this credit card. And I said, yep, I got it. And he goes, okay, we'll do this, just don't forget that. And I said, got it, we won't. I'll also tell you that I truly love Tom Schlosser. He was chairman early on in our reauthorizations and was there holding everybody's hand, keeping us together. And I also thank all of you for being here. I know I'm the last thing before the reception or before we break out, but thank you for your time today, and thank you very much for this award. It means a lot. Thank you.